Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I am Hashim Ali Khan. Now we'll start the problems on allowances. The last video I have explained you in detail regarding the allowances. What is the meaning of the term allowances? What are the different types of allowances? Classes of allowances according to fully taxable, partly taxable, fully exempted. All these things I have explained. I have explained in detail the provisions of entertainment allowance and house rent allowance. Now I am going to do the problems on that EA and HRA. So I told you that you have to keep a rhythm of watching all the videos. If you join in between, you may not be able to understand because the problems are based on provisions. And until and unless you are perfect on provisions, you cannot understand the problems. So go to the playlist of my channel, select the subject income tax 1 for the assessment year 2021. Watch the earlier videos and then watch this video, then definitely you can be able to understand. And before starting the problems, I expect my viewers to have a printout of the problems which I have given in the link under my description. So before starting, get a printout, hard copy and keep it ready. Now, first problem on entertainment allowance. See the problem. First problem on entertainment allowance. Srimati Sarala is working as an officer in Telangana government. Her salary particulars are basic pay 11,000 per month, CCA 900 per month, EA entertainment allowance 700 per month. Compute the amount of EA entertainment allowance to be allowed as a deduction. The previous video I explained you what are the conditions for allowing deductions under section 16(2). For EA, first of all, whatever EA is received, that will be taken under the head allowances. So after computing the gross salary, deduction will be allowed under section 16(2). Now we have to check whether the SSC is eligible for deduction or not. So Income Tax Act says EA deduction under section 16(2) will be allowed only for government employees. For non-government employees, EA deduction is not allowed. In our problem, it is given Srimati Sarla is working as an officer in Telangana government. So she is a government employee. So EA deduction under section 16(2) will be allowed. Now see, the SSC Srimati Sarla is a government employee. So EA deduction under section 16(2) is allowed to the least of the following three amounts. So last video I have explained you in detail regarding the deduction, provisions for deduction under section 16(2). List of the following three. First one, 20% of salary. Second, actual year received. Third, fixed amount of 5,000 rupees, which is given by the Income Tax Act. First of all, 20% of salary. The meaning of the term salary is only basic, nothing else. Here salary means only basic. So 20% of basic salary. In the problem, basic salary is given 11,000 per month. So 11,000 into 12, 1,32,000. 20% of 1,32,000, 26,400. First one, 20% of salary. Second, actual year received. In the problem, it is given actual year received 700 per month. So 700 into 12, 8,400. And fixed amount given by the Income Tax Act is 5,000. The least among these three amount is 5,000 and deduction allowed under section 16(2) is 5,000. That's it. This is the end of problem number 1. Second problem. Mr. Prakash is working as a lecturer in government college. Again, Mr. Prakash, SSC, is a government employee. Hyderabad. For the last 25 years, his monthly salary particulars are as basic pay 8,000 per month. Then DA 5,000, education allowance to his children 800, entertainment allowance is 1,000. On 1st January 2020, he retired and joined in a private college as lecturer for the same pay. Calculate deduction to be allowed under section 16(2). In this problem, it is asking you simply to find out whether deduction under section 16(2) is allowed or not. That is the question. Now, during the year, he was retired. On 31st December 2019, he retired. On 1st January 2020, he joined a private organization. So for a year, 3 months, he is a non-government employee. January, February, March. These 3 months he was a non-government employee, and the first 9 months he is a government employee. When he is a government employee, EA deduction will be allowed. When he is a non-government employee, EA deduction is not allowed. So here we will calculate deduction for the first 9 months when he was a government employee. The SSC Mr. Prakash is a government employee, so EA reduction under section 16(2) is allowed to the list of the following. 20% of salary. So 20% of salary will be taken for only for 9 months. 9 months. So 8,000 into 9, 72,000. 20%, 14,400. Second, actual year received. During the whole year, the actual year received is 8,000 into 12, 96,000. And fixed amount given by the Income Tax Act, 5,000. Whichever is least in these three. So 5,000 is the deduction allowed under section 16(2). EA deduction under section 16(2). Now, problem number 3. The following are the income particulars of Mr. Ashok for the previous year relevant to the current assessment year. Basic pay 14,000 per month. DA 1,800 per month. Entertainment allowance 2,000 per month. EA. Calculate the amount of deduction allowed under section 16(2) in the following cases. So two different cases are given. Case A, if he is a government employee. Case B, if he is a non-government employee. So one by one case we have to discuss. So first I am taking case A. If he is a government employee, if Mr. Ashok is a government employee, then EA deduction will be allowed. EA deduction will be allowed only for the government employees. So here government employee. EA reduction under section 16(2) is allowed to the list of the following two. 20% of salary. Salary means only basic. So how much is the basic salary? 14,000 per month. 14,000 per month. So 20% of 14,000 per month into 12. 14,000 into 12, 1,68,000. 20% comes to 33,600. First one over. Second, actual year received. Actual year 2,000 per month. So 2,000 into 12, 24,000. Or fixed amount given by the Income Tax Act, 5,000. The least in these three is 5,000. So EA reduction under section 16(2) is 5,000. First case completed. Now I am coming to the second case. If he is a non-government employee. If the SSC is a non-government employee, no EA deduction under section 16(2) will be allowed. No EA deduction will be allowed. No EA deduction under section 16(2) will be allowed for non-government employees. Now case C. Third case is given on the next page. If he is a local authority employee and the actual amount spent towards entertainment expense was 2,000. If he is a local authority employee, remember, the Income Tax Act says EA deduction under section 16(2) will be allowed only for central government and state government employees. Only for central government, state government employees. For statutory corporations and local authorities employees, the EA deduction is not allowed. So in case C, he is an employee in local authority employee, so EA deduction is not allowed. So EA deduction is allowed only for government employees, central government or state government. It does not include the employees of statutory corporation and local authority. Hence, EA reduction under section 62 will not be allowed for local authority employees. Last one, D case. If the entertainment allowance was granted for official purpose. When EA is given for official purpose, it is not an income at all. That EA received for official purpose will not be included in allowances. When it is not included in allowances, no deduction is allowed under section 16(2). Right? So that is the provision regarding EA received for official purpose. No EA deduction under section 16(2) will be allowed, and neither the allowance received will not be taken in case of allowances. No benefit. Only for EA received for personal use, then it is included. That's all. So we have completed 3 problems. We have completed 3 problems on EA, entertainment allowance. Now I am coming to the next allowance, house rent allowance. So regarding HRA, already I have explained you in detail in the previous video So what are the provisions for giving the exemption for HRA? House rent allowance. Some employers will give HRA to the employees, right? So Income Tax Act says HRA will be exempted under section 10 subsection 13A rule 2A only if the SSC is paying the rent. If the SSC is living in a rented house and paying the rent, then only HRA exemption is allowed. If the SSC is living in his own house, no rent is paid, in that actual HRA received is fully taxable, HRA exemption not allowed. That is the provision. Now here, first problem. X, a resident of Ajmer, receives rupees 48,000 as basic salary during the previous year, 2019-20. The current previous year is 2019-20, and during the year, Mr. X, a resident of Ajmer, he received 48,000 as basic salary for the whole year. And in addition, he gets 4,800 as dearness allowance, forming part of salary. 7%, actually by printing mistake, I have typed there 75%. Cut off that 75, it is only 7%. So 7% commission on sales made by him. Sales made by X during the relevant previous year, 86,000. And 6,000 rupees as house rent allowance. He, however, pays 5,800 as house rent. Determine the quantum of exempted house rent allowance. Then how much is the exempted HRA under section 10 subsection 13A that we have to calculate. We will see the condition. First of all, Mr. X is paying the rent. And living in Ajmer. Ajmer is other town. That means not included in 4 metropolitan cities. We have provision for HRA. Employees living in 4 metropolitan cities and employees living in other towns. So Ajmer will come in other town. So SSC, Mr. X is paying the rent and stays at Ajmer, other town. So HRA is exempted to the list of the following 3 amounts. Here, problems on house rent allowance. The SSC, Mr. X is paying the rent and stays at Ajmer, other town. So HRA exemption under section 1013A rule 2A is allowed to the list of the following 3 amounts. Now you have to remember the provisions. What are the 3 amounts? List of the 3 we have to take. First one, actual HRA receipt. In the problem itself it is given actual HRA receipt 6,000. Second one, rent paid minus 10% of salary. That is the provision. Rent paid is given in the problem 5,800, given directly. 10% of salary. Now you have to remember the meaning of the term salary for HRA purpose. For HRA exemption purpose, salary means basic pay plus DA will be included if it enters for retirement benefit, plus commission if it is based on fixed percentage on turnover. That is a definition of salary. In case of EA, salary means only basic, nothing else. No DA, no commission, nothing should be taken while calculating salary for EA. But for calculating HRA, salary means basic pay we take plus DA if it enters for retirement benefit, plus commission if it is based on a fixed percentage on turnover. In our problem, basic salary is 48,000 given, plus dearness allowance is a part of salary. That means it enters for retirement benefit. So we'll take DA also, 4,800 DA, plus commission if it is based on fixed percentage on turnover. So here we are given 7% on 86,000. The Mr. X has conducted a sale of rupees 86,000. On 86,000, 7% is the commission. So 7% of 86,000. Now we calculate 5,800 minus 10% of 48,000 plus 4,800. 7% of 86,000. You will get 6,060. 6060. Now you add up the 3. 5,800 minus 10% of 48,000 plus 4,800 plus 6,020. Total 58,820. So 10% of 58,820, 582. 5,882. So 5,800 minus 5,882. You will get a negative minus 82. You will get a negative amount minus 82. And last one, 40% of salary. Income Tax Act provision says 40% of salary. Salary is how much? 58,820. Already we have calculated. 58,820. 58,820 into 40%. It is 23,528. 23,528. Now least among these three is minus 82. In the last video I explained you in detail, if one of the three amount comes to negative figure, then no exemption will be allowed. Exemption will be zero. That means actual HRA received is fully taxable if any one of the item happens to be zero. In our problem, one of the three amount is negative. One of the three amount is negative. Then actual HRA received is fully taxable. No HRA exemption will be allowed. Since one of the above three amount is negative, so actual HRA received 6,000 is fully taxable. No exemption under section 1013A will be allowed. So this is the first problem on HRA exemption we have done. So I have completed 3 problems on entertainment allowance and 1 problem on HRA. Still few more problems on HRA and other allowances will continue in the next video. So if you are satisfied with my lecture, please give a like to the video, share it in your group and give your comments, and lastly don't forget to subscribe my channel, and we'll continue the next problem in the next video. Come on, now we'll start the second problem on house rent allowance, HRA. See the second problem carefully. Mrs. Ravani Rai is working as a lecturer in a government college, Delhi. So she is a government employee working in Delhi. Her salary particulars per annum are as under: basic pay 82,000, dearness allowance 38,000, CCA city compensatory allowance 16,000, and HRA house rent allowance 24,000. Rent paid by her is 21,000. Calculate the exempted amount of HRA. See, only we have to calculate how much is the exempted HRA under section 10 subsection 13A. First of all, we have to check the condition whether she will get the exemption or not. What is the condition? Whether she is paying the rent or not. If she is paying the rent, then only exemption will be allowed. She is paying the rent, 21,000 it is given in the problem. Rent paid by her is 21,000. So the SSC Mrs. Shavani Rai is paying the rent and stays at Delhi metropolitan city. So her HRA exemption under section 1013A will be allowed to the least of the following 3 amounts. Actual HRA received 24,000. It is given in the problem. Rent paid minus 10% of salary. The rent paid 21,000 given, 10% of salary. Salary means basic pay only. DA will be included if it enters for retirement benefit, and commission if it is based on fixed percentage on turnover. For the purpose of calculating HRA exemption, you must remember the meaning of the term salary. The basic salary is 82,000. DA, nothing is given regarding DA whether it enters for retirement benefit or not. So we should not take. Specifically, if it is given DA enters for retirement benefit or DA enters for salary, then only we should take. Here nothing is given, only DA is given. We should not take DA, only basic 82,000. Commission is not given in the problem. The basic salary 82,000. We'll take 10% of 82,000, 8,200. So 21,000 minus 8,200, 12,800. Or 50% of salary because she is staying at Delhi. For Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, 50%. For other towns, 40%. So here Delhi, so we'll take 50% of salary, 50% of 82,000, 41,000. Least of these 3 is exempted. So 12,800 is exempted. That's what it is asking in the problem. Calculate the exempted part of HRA. The exempted part of HRA is 12,800. It is suppose if it is asking you what is a taxable HRA. For our knowledge, I am writing the taxable also. But in the problem it is asking you only exempted. Our solution is over here. But for your knowledge purpose, I am showing how much is taxable HRA. So actual HRA received is 24,000. From actual HRA received, deduct the exempted HRA. Exempted HRA is 12,800. So subtract 12,800, 11,200 is the taxable HRA. That's all. This is the end of problem number 2. Now, see the third problem. Mr. Sahadev is in receipt of 1,62,000 as basic salary, 55,000 as house rent allowance, and 27,000 as dearness allowance. If the rent paid is 62,000, when rent paid is given, that means she is eligible. He is eligible for exemption. Determine the taxable amount of HRA in the following situations. So 4 situations are given. In each situation, we have to find out how much is the taxable HRA. For calculating taxable HRA, first we calculate exempted HRA, right? So case 1, if he is a government employee and residing in Mumbai, he is paying the rent, so HRA will be allowed as exemption. So the HRA exempted to the extent of, to the least of the following 3 amounts. Actual HRA received 55,000 given in the problem. Actual HRA received 55,000. Rent paid minus 10% of salary. Rent paid is 62,000 given in the problem. Rent paid. 10% of salary. Salary means basic pay only. DA will be included if it enters for retirement benefit. Here DA is given, but it is not given whether it is entering or not entering. So we should not take. We should not take DA. We should take only basic 1,62,000. So 10% of 1,62,000, 16,200. 62,000 minus 16,200, 45,800. Next, 50% of salary because Mumbai, staying at Mumbai for metropolitan. 50% of 1,62,000, 81,000. The least among these 3 is exempted. 45,800 is exempted. Now it is asking you how much is taxable. So take the actual HRA received 55,000 minus exempted HRA under section 10, 45,800. So taxable HRA is 9,200. 9,200 is the taxable HRA. That's all. First case completed. Now second case, non-government employee residing in Mumbai. First case was government employee residing in Mumbai. So first and second case, what is the difference? Here it is a government employee, here it is a non-government employee. Both are residing in Mumbai. Income Tax Act does not make any distinction between government employee and non-government employee for calculating HRA exemption. HRA exemption is same for government as well as non-government. The only condition is if the SSC is paying the rent, then only exemption will be allowed. Here the SSC is paying the rent. So it does not make any difference whether he is a government employee or non-government employee. The provisions are same. So again, same thing will come. So for giving HRA exemption, it is immaterial whether the SSC is a government employee or non-government employee. For both the provisions are same. Hence the taxable HRA is 9,200 as above. As how we have calculated 9,200 HRA, taxable HRA, same 9,200 taxable HRA if he is a non-government employee also. The provisions are same. That's all. Second completed. Now third one, if he is residing in Hyderabad city, here it was Mumbai city. Now we have to treat if the SSC is staying in Hyderabad city. Only one change is there. That change is 40% of salary. Here we have taken 50% of salary. Now we have to take 40% of salary. So HRA is exempted to the least of the following 3 amounts. Actual HRA received 55,000. Then rent paid minus 10% of salary, 62,000 minus 16,200, 45,800, just like the previous one. Now instead of 40%, instead of 50%, now we have to take 40%. So 40% of 1,62,000, 64,800. Now least among these 3 is 45,800. So actual HRA received 55,000 less exempted HRA 45,800. So 9,200 is the taxable HRA. Same thing we are getting. Same thing, 9,200 is the taxable HRA if he stays at Hyderabad also. Now case 4, if he is residing in Madurai, Madurai means other town. and staying in father-in-law's house without paying any rent. In the third case, he is getting HRA but is not paying any rent because he is living in his father-in-law's house, not paying any rent. Income Tax Act says no exemption will be allowed. Exemption will be allowed only if he stays in a rented house and rent is paid. Then only. Here, no rent is paid. Living in father-in-law's house, that means no exemption. Actual HRA received 55,000 is fully taxed. So residing in Madurai, since the SSC is not paying any rent, so HRA exemption under section 1039 is not allowed. Actual HRA is fully taxable. 55,000 HRA received is fully taxable. That's it. This is the end of problem number 3. Now we'll come to the problem number 4. Fourth problem. Sri Kapoor is an employee of a limited company at Jamshedpur. It's the other town. He is in receipt of 44,000 as basic pay, 18,000 as dearness allowance, forming part of salary for all retirement benefits. Specifically given DA interest for retirement benefit. So when we calculate salary, we should take basic pay as well as DA, because DA is entering for retirement benefit. Rupees 6,000 as city compensatory allowance CCA. Rupees 8,000 as accommodation allowance. Accommodation allowance is nothing but house rent allowance. Accommodation allowance or house rent allowance both mean same. Rupees 13,000 as entertainment allowance. He is paying monthly rent of 1,000. That means the SSC is paying the rent. So HRA exemption will be allowed. An electricity bill of the house at a flat rate of 300 per month. We should not consider electricity bill paid. That is the bill paid for services received. So for calculating HRA exemption, electricity bill paid should not be considered. Determine the amount of house rent allowance exempted under section 1013A. So HRA exemption we have to calculate. The SSC is paying the rent and stays at Jamshedpur, other town. So HRA is exempted to the list of the following 3 amounts. SSC is Sri Kapoor. Sri Kapoor is paying the rent and staying at Jamshedpur, other town. So HRA is exempted to the list of the following. Actual HRA received 8,000 given in the problem. Rent paid minus 10% of salary. Rent paid is 1,000 per month. So 1,000 into 12,000 minus 10% of salary. Salary means basic plus DA, because DA is entering for retirement benefit. So 10% of 44,000 basic and 18,000 DA. Both we are combining. So 62,000 is the salary. So 10% of 62,000, 6,200. 12,000 minus 6,200, 5,800. Next, 40% of salary because staying at other town. So 40% of 62,000, 24,800. What is the least among these three? 5,800 is the least one. That is the exempted HRA. Exempted HRA is 5,800. So actual HRA received 8,000 minus exempted HRA 5,800. So taxable HRA is 2,200. 2,200 is the taxable HRA. So payment of electricity bill is not to be considered for calculating HRA. That's it. So this is the end of problem number 4. So totally 4 problems we have completed on HRA exemption, apart from EA. The next video will continue one or two more problems on HRA. Then we'll do the problems on other allowances.